So I was born deaf, went to college. I was in a mainstream environment through most of my high school. I went to a mainstream college where I was the only deaf person as well in my class. I was working with a fellow employee at the time. It was a kind of a work-study thing. Truly boring. I was filing papers, but it was fine because I didn't really have to interact with anybody. I wasn't doing any customer service. Communication wasn't going to be a barrier for that particular job. There was one girl I worked with, always coming up to me. She wanted to talk. I didn't understand her. I always said, I'm sorry, I don't understand. And she kept trying. I didn't really want to be her friend, but she was trying so hard. And every time she'd come up to me, I didn't understand her. But she kind of grew on me. And the more she came to say hi, I realized how sweet she was, gentle, incredibly patient. Every time I asked her to clarify, she did. She didn't know any sign language. She was hearing, and she was from Ecuador. I didn't know what to do. But we kept at it. She kept coming to say hi, and she was being so kind. And I thought, okay, we started to spend time together outside of work. We'd go grab something to eat, gossip about the people in the office. She'd tell me what I couldn't hear, and she'd let me know. It was like catching up on the tea. It was great. I knew some stuff I couldn't hear. It was fabulous. So we graduated. She went back to Ecuador, but we maintained contact through email, kept up with each other's lives, etc. And I missed her. I missed going out. I missed the meals that we shared. And I said, you know what? I missed her, even though she was hearing. Sorry if not sorry. It was a really unique experience to get to know her. She was always welcoming, trying to get me to come down and visit her. And I thought, ugh. I went back and forth. I'm like, I don't speak Spanish. And she kept reassuring me, it's not going to be a problem, not going to be a problem. I'm like, yeah, okay. I thought, let's try it. This was going to be my first international travel. I had never left the States, and I was going to travel alone as a deaf person. I knew I wasn't going to have access to the announcements at the airport, but I threw caution to the wind. I thought, let's go. I said, I'll get there. Her family will catch me when I fall. If I fall. So got there, everything was safe. I, again, never been outside the country, and everything looked different. I didn't know they allowed smoking in the airport. I was shocked. I couldn't imagine all these different things as I landed in the Ecuadorian airport. Each of her family members took the time to show me different parts of the country, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. My most unique experience, there was and of course there was only one person in the family who spoke English, which was my friend who I went to college with. And she would kind of keep me updated the best she could about what was going on in the family dynamics. I mean, I didn't know a lick of Spanish. I couldn't even write it. One day, her brother, again, doesn't know any English, I don't speak Spanish. We spent the entire day out and about. It took me to Quito, which is the capital city of Ecuador. It was relatively easy to understand. We kind of used gestures. We didn't use any language. There was a lot of gesturing. He would point to the good restaurant, take me to where the food was. We got along really, really well. But we didn't rely on language. He also just gave me the space to take in everything I could visually. And it was such a unique and valuable experience for me. He allowed me to become an observer and see everything that was there. And he took me to a very obviously incredibly old church, obviously made of stone, but it was under construction at the time, and they had it blocked off. People couldn't go in. And he's pointing it to me and just kind of saying, oh, this is great. And, I'm like Brian, I'm not religious, but it was beautiful. I mean, obviously a historical landmark of some sort, just the design itself was just gorgeous. So he led me to a table where there was a gentleman sitting there. It was obviously one of the workers that was doing the construction. And they started talking back and forth, and I stood there quietly, still admiring, took a couple pictures, and they continued to have this conversation. And I noticed the man at the table look me up and down very purposefully. I kind of waved. Obviously, I'm an American. I've got tennis shoes on, jeans, a shirt, and the awkward wave, even the fanny pack. Let's get real. I had it. I was trying not to be embarrassed, kind of subtly put my hand in my water bottle, hid my water bottle, trying not to look too touristy. But he continued to look at me, and I thought, okay, I'm not real sure what's going on. All of a sudden, my friend's brother waved me in. And I thought, okay, I'm in the church. Now, this church was closed to the public because of the work that they were doing. I assumed they were buddies, that they must have known each other somehow. And I thought, oh, cool, I'm getting a private tour. It was amazing. Everything was being worked on. There were no pews. They had removed everything. You could see the tile, and people were cleaning and repairing the tile on the floor. And it was just stunning. They were working on the woodwork. It was amazing. I was overwhelmed. Then I noticed they had scaffolding up. My friend's brother kind of motioned me towards the scaffolding. And I'm like, he's like, come on, climb it with me. Well, since I'm in a church, I did a little sign of the cross, and up I went. And we started going up the scaffolding. And the farther we got up, the more I could see. And the higher we got up, the farther away the floor was. But I was like, I felt like I was 5 floors up, which I probably wasn't. Maybe it was as high as the ceiling, probably about as high as the ceiling of this building. But at the time, it felt enormously high. And every step we took, I did a little bit of a sign of the cross and asked for a little bit of a conversion and kept on going. But we got to the ceiling, and you could see the painting and the artwork of all the saints that had been painted there years ago. And their faces were kind of distorted. They looked different up close. And I took some pictures of it just to kind of remember it, but they looked different, and I couldn't understand why. It was beautiful. It was just a stunning experience. We actually went outside on the scaffolding that was at the top of the church. I could look through the town. It was amazingly beautiful. Again, the brother and I did a high five because we were at the top of the scaffolding. We eventually climbed our way down. We were on the floor. Took a sigh of relief on that one. As I got back to their home that night, and he told my friend of everything that had happened, and I showed pictures of what I had said, my friend filled me in about what happened. The church was over 300 years old. It was closed to the public for massive repairs, and the painting on the ceiling looked distorted so that when you're on the floor, the dimensions match what your eyes take in from that distance, which I thought was amazing. Also, he was not friends with the guy at the table. He lied to him and told him I was an American architect student. And I had traveled all the way from the United States. So sorry, not sorry.